Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to more CSGO news. Two things to announce. First of all, my voice is shot right now. There'll be limited videos today. I should be back to my regular voice tomorrow, and I really do apologize for that. So if you guys don't want to listen to my raspy voice talk about some of the breaking CSGO news this past weekend, come back tomorrow. We'll have a packed episode because I won't be discussing all of today's stories today because of my voice. Second, because I left town, so much did happen, as in typical fashion whenever I go away and can't make videos. All the big stuff is announced, and I guess a third announcement as well. Thank you all. If you guys realized why I left this past weekend, it was actually for my birthday. Thank you all so much for the birthday wishes. It meant way more than you know, and I really do hope you guys enjoy it. The sub count kept going up. You guys have left so many comments, and I really do greatly appreciate all of you guys. Here is to another great year. But again, if you guys don't want to stick around for today's episode, I understand. Come back tomorrow. We'll be breaking down CSGO and esports news all day long. If you want to stick around, though, some huge news, though, in the fact that some people did predict it, other people did not expect it to actually go through. That being Refresh Entertainment apparently now parting ways, or sometime shortly parting ways, with Astralis, which is absolutely crazy. But as I said before, some people did see it coming amidst apparently a leak of an email brought to us by Richard Lewis. If you guys want to see the full email, I will link down the article below for all of you guys, because the email itself revealed some very interesting things. And so if you guys do want to actually read the full email and the full details, as per usual, his article will be linked down below. But what they did break down, it was pretty incredible what they have planned for the future and what was actually revealed in that email. And so apparently this email sent company-wide, as it first does state, we must also recognize that the promise we gave 2 years ago to, after a build-up phase, separate ownership of competition and team is about right. The Astralis players have, as you all know, felt this on their social media streams, and I have no doubt that it has affected them since Miami. And yeah, I just voice cracked, okay guys? Please go easy on me in the comment section today, because if I had my full voice, this is huge news. I'd be so much more excited, but every time I get excited, I squeal and my voice squeaks. But along with that, other things confirmed in the email is, yes, a potential league for 2020 has now been established, as many people were rumoring about, them trying to take over some sort of tournament scene or establish themselves some sort in this tournament light in CSGO. Apparently that was also brought up in the email. They also bring up a couple of times the backlash the players have received. And very lastly, they call a lot of you guys, as well as myself at times included, all the people who have given them backlash for this commitment and for this partnership between Refresh, Blast, and Astralis. They consider them as trolls, and they'll be taking to social media actively in the coming days to address those trolls and hopefully silence them for some time. So I'm very excited to announce, hopefully future information coming out about this. I am sure we'll have multiple videos about this, but it has now been confirmed two of the biggest things. They will be parting ways, but Blast Pro will continue, and apparently an established league is coming for some time in 2020, or at least it's in the plan. When it comes times for ownership, though, of course, if Refresh parts ways with Astralis, what does that mean? Apparently investors in Astralis will retain their portions of Astralis, but also the players will continue to receive their same portion as well. We'll wait for updates on the ownership for the future of that Astralis team, whether or not they do become free, because apparently they've been wanting to be free for quite some time, and their contracts were actually until 2021, and so supposedly Refresh might be giving them some lenience there of actually getting out of those said contracts. And speaking of Blast Pro, guys, this past weekend was Blast Pro LA. I will say, though, based on renovations, the videos we did see, the event looked pretty good, although we have people on both sides of the fence. Some saying the renovations looked amazing, others saying the renovations looked almost too professional, so I'll let you guys decide that. Now, despite that, though, what's being talked about most is actually not Liquid's dominance, although I will say, my goodness gracious, we'll break down the results in a second here, but Liquid, boys, NA, this might be our year based off how things looked this past weekend. We'll take the format with a grain of salt, but with that, another thing being talked about most is actually the release of Blast Pro, a tweet which was since deleted of Yanko's comms. Now, we've actually seen a few of these things in the past, but when it comes to actually miking up players or coaches, we have not really seen this in the CSGO scene, and it can be a very light subject to actually touch on based off what information could be revealed if the organizer is not actually careful about it. So you guys, I will play you part of the clip as well. I'm sure many of you guys have actually seen the full clip. I will play part of it for you, what Blast Pro did tweet out, and then soon after, delete.
If someone dies this round, let's buy an off for Ladi next round, use the new smokes. They play heavy yards again. It's easy for you guys to read it. Then abort everything and just focus on killing them.
And whether or not you think it's cool to actually release that, apparently according to players or people who were actually at the event, this was discussed at a team meeting, and the stresses and concerns were actually shared with Blast Pro. So I would not be surprised to see Blast Pro and other organizers maybe tend to not post these kind of things, although I will say if they do so carefully, these kind of things are super cool to hear. When I first heard this, I almost felt like I was more more part of the team, and it was very cool to actually listen to how those comms actually do work. So I understand where the premise lies of, well, this is a really cool thing to tweet out, but I also understand why it could be a conflict of interest or just a bad thing overall to maybe potentially leak team strats, live on Twitter to thousands of people and other teams who could easily go to the Twitter and access those. So I understand the intention, but if they actually act on it carefully, I would love to see more mic'd up comments or comms in the future, and you guys can, of course, leave your thoughts on that down below. Now, very last thing, quickly speaking of the event itself, Liquid, they rolled the event. They sweep the entire event, not dropping a single map throughout group stage or playoffs, and they are looking like this is their year. I hope to not curse this team whatsoever, because of course we do know that curse that existed back in late 2018 or throughout a majority of 2018. But with that being said, these guys are looking so utterly dominant. Alongside that, though, I think even more exciting than that is the fact that Cloud9 showed up, as we saw them maybe a few Blast Pro events ago. They used to be that older roster, was pretty darn good at best of ones. This newer roster, though, did some pretty amazing things. I think Mixwell looked very, very back in the moment, back on that top scene of CS. They tied MiBR, even though, yes, guys, MiBR was playing with Zews. They also tied, though, other relevant teams at the event, NRG being one of them. They take down FaZe Clan. They play Renegades very, very close. Liquid dominate them, but Liquid dominated just about everyone here at the event, not dropping a single map. So I am super excited. I'm not saying the event is going to be the game changer for Cloud9, but I am super excited to see where this current brand new lineup is currently playing with some of the top teams in the world. So I'm not going to take it too much to my head, but new Cloud9 was pretty exciting to watch. Oh, and one last thing about Blast Pro as well. If you guys did notice this, thanks to my friend Aiden who sent me this as well, because I didn't even notice it or think about it, to be honest. It was actually the two teams who placed 5th and 6th, that being MiBR and Renegades. MiBR places 5th and comes away with $10,000, and they also win that show match against Renegades, bringing their total to take home to $30,000. So because they actually placed 5th and 6th and got sent to the show match, they actually took home more than any other team there besides the two teams in the grand final, that being Liquid and FaZe. They beat out NRG and everyone else in prize pool because they placed 5th and 6th and went to a show match and then made that much money. So a very weird format in itself. I'm not really sure if that should be a thing, but it's very weird to see a team, because they placed nearly last, they actually make just as much, if not more, than the team who placed 3rd at the event. Really weird. And very lastly, for all of you guys, and if you are still watching, seriously, a grave thank you. I know how irritated I get when I watch someone who doesn't have a voice. So if you guys are still watching, I really do appreciate you, and I promise tomorrow will be much better with my voice, and I do have plenty of stories for CSGO as well as esports to share with you guys then. So I really do appreciate you guys, because in biggest news out there, it's actually the official announcement from both Zews, MiBR, as well as Coldzera on his absence and his leaving of that roster has now been officialized, guys. We knew it was going to happen, but the reasons as to why, it's not going to say it's shocking. Apparently, according to Coldzera, it's been happening or kind of lingering in his mind ever since about a year ago. But with that being said, I think the biggest debate out there is the fact that Coldzera did not play Blast Pro LA. He will not play IEM Chicago or the Major, despite it is now confirmed he did offer the team to play those events, and they said, based off Zeus' response as well, pretty much they want to move on. They want to continue to build together and grow together, so they will not play with him, and they will play with Zeus instead, intentionally, as many of us know, shooting themselves in the foot for two of the biggest events, that being IEM Chicago and the Major of the entire year, both prize pool wise as well as teams wise. These are some of the most competitive events, if not the most competitive events of 2019, and they are deliberately not playing with one of their best players and playing with their coach instead. Now, I respect their decision because they're being honest and open about that. They mentioned that Coldzera did offer to play with them, but if you are a big fan, I really am curious what you guys think about this. Would you rather play with one of your best players despite them having internal issues and not wanting to play with him, or would you rather play with your coach? In traditional esports, I think we know what the answer would be. But when it comes to esports and you have that option, they have chose the coaching option over one of their better players. It's very weird. I respect it. It's their choice to make. But when it comes to two of the most competitive events of all time in 2019, you might want to consider that. But although Cole did offer, the team did reject him, and they'll be playing with their coach. So controversial, very sure. But Coldzera will continue his training as he he sits under his contract for quite some time. His buyout is apparently very large, and he will remain on this roster for at least a few months until his new team does approach him, and we'll see exactly who that new team does become. As always, I hope you guys all enjoy. All of you who leave comments and likes, thank you. I'll be back tomorrow. I promise you guys I will rest my voice pretty much all day long. I really do hope you guys enjoyed, because this past weekend was insane, and we have so many talking points to actually talk about in the future this week when my voice is back. Until then, take care. Much love, guys, and I'll see you soon.